Hi guys, this is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you get anything from my work, a Connect, Dawn, an Epiphany, a Mind Explosion, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work. All the links are at the bottom of the description, which has been messed up. I put it in a certain format so it's easy to see. And then YouTube crunches it together. I don't know why. I just noticed this. Really annoying. If you're so inclined, holiday season is just upon us. And I just demolded these two little guys. Yes, they're on the smaller side. Bigger gems, different types of organite capacities here. Check that out at alleycatcreations211.com. Those aren't up just yet, but I have a bunch of other stuff out. I get the large ones, skulls, big pyramids that weigh a lot. Still have a cough going on. Got my coffee. Paintings, commission stuff. I have a lot of stuff there, different unique things. So if you're interested in finding something different for somebody's shopping small, please consider going to my website, looking at my portfolio. If you like something, email me. That's the best way to get information because everything I have to do privately because of fundages. So I have a pondering, spiritual soul advice, but more of a pondering because holy crap, guys, holy shit. So a timeline, a collective timeline. I Where do I say, how do I start this? Spirit urged me to get down here. Um, got home from work and I had to listen to a Brian Scott and really good Brian Scott from Daniel Scranton's books. Um, I had some other things. I'm still looking for a job because apparently the other job doesn't is still reviewing my I don't know what's so difficult about my application process. I don't know. So I'm looking for different other avenues of part-time that fit my hours, my full-time job. Cray cray. Still looking. Um, so getting downloads but I'm now searching, seeing like getting a pulse of humanity. Right? Like I was taken yesterday. I sat in a meditation. So my town does a professional development day and I had to show up. I had to go. But we got to choose different things to do. And I signed up for a crystal bowl meditation. It was fan-tastic. I usually listen to them online. To do it in person, fantastic. Boy, did I get a lot going on. And I told the woman, I'm like, I'm a trans channel. I am sorry if I start speaking. I'm not here in my body. She goes, no worries. Thankfully, I made sure to tell them to not jump or come in through me. Because when I'm in altered states like that, I don't control what's going on. I can I have better access to that control now. But that was just such a oh, I needed that. So in the middle of that, I like just reharmonize my chakras and just whew. Still going through this. I have hives still. I'm still trying to figure out what it is that is causing this. Besides my progesterone, yes, I have an allergy to myself, mind you. So I'm today I coming in with a fresh approach. I had one bad incident with a parent today that didn't throw me, I didn't even care, didn't throw me for a loop. I'm like, whatever, you have a problem. You need to fix that. Just trying to put out the vibes of compassion and love, because there's a lot of people that came into job today excited, and a lot of people who came into job devastated. And me 2 years ago would have expressed my elation. Me 2 years ago maybe wouldn't be as mature as I was today. And I'm glad that I'm in the maturity level that I am today, because seeing the bigger picture, and I'm going to get into my thought process. I was a little crazy before. This upper level thought, looking down at the whole big picture, not just like your little portion of what you're seeing in your perception. People are still under a spell of control, of mind control, of allowing things to dictate to them, not doing their own research, or really just hard aligning hardcore with stuff that they don't know the other side. They're not even willing to listen or to hear it out. They just think this is the end all be all and that's it. And there's a lot of people like that. And that's on either side. You can't, neutrality is like seeing the bigger picture and then choosing which side you are jumping on. It's not, I've been seeing some memes that like if you're neutral, you're on the side of evil. No, I'm not. Sorry, I didn't choose. I know what I chose. I voted, right? I mean, people that know what that flag is behind me, but I'm not picking other people apart for their perceptions. I no longer do that. I don't care if you got that. That's great. I love you either way. Because you thought I was going to kill you, and it really hurt my feelings that you thought that, and go through a couple of years now, 4 years later, and I'm still here and you are too. So, oops, it wasn't Ebola. So, putting things into perspective, I wanted to hold space today energetically for those who having a hard day, their candidate didn't win. And now I'm seeing, as I get home and seeing the online stuff, that a lot of spiritual people are talking about this shift, the paradigm shift. Nothing shifted. We chose a timeline that's not shifting. Shifting would be, oh, when we got disclosure and now truth is being unveiled, and it will be, but that's just not a paradigm shift. We had we chose collectively, we all were higher in vibration, and we chose a timeline to put ourselves on. And the one that we all collectively chose, unbeknownst to many of us consciously, some people were thinking that it was not gonna, the election wasn't going to be called the same day. Some of us didn't even think it was going to happen because of 2020. Some of us had our own reasoning for why things were going to project the way they did. But regardless, in real time space, a choice was chosen. And now another split off parallel universe is now over here playing out the other way. And now the other delineations of those choices not taken are playing out in the other half over here. But we chose this. So I don't know what's going on with the spiritual community saying we had a big shift. I'm making silly faces because we just jumped into the timeline that we were meant to jump into. It's divine will. It's what we willed it to be. We could have waited a month before we knew results. There was a lot of fuckery. No, sorry. You see, hello, my middle finger. If you're offended, sorry with the cursing. Don't care. Um, there's a lot of fuckery afoot in Staten Island, New York. I had three personal friends that had issues at the voting polls, and they're on the other side. Okay. And they were like, well, how did I vote already? I didn't vote. Oh, well, you voted already. No, I did not. Like, I'm voting. What are you talking about? And they were pissed. And then, hi, Odin. Hello, baby. Um, then there was other accounts of my husband didn't get to vote because someone voted for him as well. I had a friend that went was lived in New Jersey for a bit, moved to Staten Island, back to Staten Island, and this was in like years now, and the DMV never processed his voter registration, and no one can answer his questions. I'm like, what the hell? Like I moved, and when I moved to Indiana, that was one of the first things when I got my driver's license swapped over. I had a birth certificate issue because I'm adopted and they didn't accept my original. I had to like wait until Georgia gave me my another copy of my birth certificate. And I had to register to vote in Indiana. Like I put the paperwork in with my license. So so there was a lot of stuff happening at poll sites throughout the country that regardless of party affiliation, should not fucking happen. I'm sorry. In when I went to vote, what really struck me is I've been voting for a long time. Um, I forgot which one I voted for. What my first one was. But I don't remember even my parents when my parents used to take me to go vote for with them. When I was in the pull lever, like those big ass boxes that you walked in and you close the curtain and then you press a button, but a bunch of buttons, you swipe them this way or that way, and then you pull the lever. Um, but there was different models and versions of that. I don't think I have ever voted on the same type of machine twice. And I think that's a humongous issue. Whether it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you are on, what side you're choosing. Why is it that every state, county, town have different voting methods? I don't quite understand that concept. We should all be voting on the same exact machines. If they're machines, if we're going back to paper, which I do agree we should be doing, um, it's going to be the same ballot, different languages, depending where you are. In America, in your state, just will have your elected officials and your districts and whatever else you're voting for on your ballot, but the ballot should look and be the same. There shouldn't be any discussion on why every state, every town, every county has different machines, different methods of voting. It is bananas to me. Even in New York, lived there for almost 40 years, 39, and every year that I voted in a general election or an a presidential election, everything's different. The methods were different. I don't understand it. And if they've remained the same this year, I don't know. I'm not in New York, but in Indiana, that was crazy. So that's one issue I have with the elections. we should all be voting on the same apparatus. And then we can't go and blame, or we can blame the one apparatus. When you have like 8 different electoral uh, machines from different companies, there's a lot of fuckery afoot. That's a big problem. Like we all want this technology and all this greatness, but if you can't get it right the first time and there's a margin of error, there should never ever be a margin of error. It disgusts me. And I think this is where both sides can agree to disagree. But I do believe that we need a unified method of voting. And I even made a joke online at the polling site that it should be like American Idol. They get their votes counted in real time. I'm like, what happens if we all got a number to call and we all put in our social security numbers? Funny. That would eliminate a lot of shit. If you're voting and you use this number, call toll free at 888, blah, blah, blah. And then, okay, to cast your vote, put in your social security number. Oh, well, there's so much fuckery you could have. I get it. But you also have telephone technology that they can trace you anyway. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that needs to be explored moving forward. But if American Idol can get their vote by the end of the night and somebody can be a millionaire based on their talent, uh, we could do the same for the president and we would have a lot of fraud issues. Getting back to the timeline delineation, we did have shifts. We always continuously have shifts. I'm not here to sell you any spiritual BS or woo-woo nonsense. I don't, from when I got the last few days, we all chose this collectively. Trump chose the highest timeline that he can jump into for whatever he's going to be playing out. Now, we still have to wait until January for shit to hit the hit. Well, to hit the fan, whether it be good or bad. What is so important right now in the paradigm of where we are in the moment of time of now is choosing where your energy is now going to flow. Once again, it doesn't matter who wins. At the end of the day, you're the one that creates your reality. We chose our contracts, we chose certain aspects and catalysts to help us. This helps us in many ways because it kind of calms down the I told you so, the things will be exposed. People who've been fast asleep, and they're not all going to wake up. And it's not our jobs to wake them up. It's our jobs to start remembering who we are. And it's really up to a lot of us to now start helping those who are just trying to figure themselves out in conjunction with what's going on the outside world and bridging the gap. We are the way showers. The Palladians that Daniel Scranton did and Brian Scott read today, very on spot on. They're talking about how we are, many of us who are experiencing a lot of the nonsense and I'm like, oh, why am I not getting hired I'm 41 years old for a job at Kohl's. I don't get it. I've never worked retail, but there's never a new time to now. Um, I just don't want to work around a lot of kids, and it's a more mature adult atmosphere when you're working in those arenas. Um, I have to shift myself, but where in society are us way showers, the ones that are above, before everybody else? We're here because we're going through the tough times so that we can help everybody else when they get to the level of where we're at. I've always been this person. Sadly, even when I was a kid, I always gave really sound advice to people, spiritually speaking, and like helping people bridge their experiences and what they're seeing and what they're getting. And I'm very glad, at least. Hi, Scott, one of my subscribers, Scott, very good a friend and a very nice person. Now timestamps when he's seeing stuff, and other people are confirming that. What is that doing? I just saw something right there. What is that doing? That's actually helping someone develop their intuition, develop their psychic senses, developing their sight to see the things that other people cannot see. You might not, you might go to the timestamp, but you might eventually see something behind me. There are lots of things behind me. I'm not ignorant to it. I ignore it because I wouldn't be able to focus on my thoughts. If I opened up right now, I could tell you there's a lot of energy behind me. That's just me as a person. I throw a lot of people, like the spiritual people that I walk into a meditation spot, like I threw everybody off yesterday. All these old ladies, they're like, what? Whoa. And the lady is like, yeah, she knew. It's not out of an ego spot. It's just like I hold a lot of energy. Like I'm doing everything I can, so I'm not gonna ruin everybody else's time. Mind you. Mind you. So moving forward, a lot of us are here to have these experiences of seeing things behind me. We're here to evolve. So what there if there was a time dilation, which I know there was probably a little bit, but we didn't shift to another universe. We're still here in the now. Hi. So please explain to me what the hype is about. Let's go check the Schumann resonance. Once again, when that spikes too, that's us and the Earth in conjunction getting uploads. That stuff excites me because like it explains why I have certain ways of feeling, why I'm like energetically like, oh, I'm in a cleaning mode today. Why am I cleaning, like bouncing around the house cleaning? Oh, because we're spiking. Yep, yep. This explains a lot. Her to see. Sorry, guys. It's no. Oh, oh, oh. If I tilt it, you can see it. Ah! Okay. And then I'm fading down. So what you were just seeing is a lot of not full down white spikes, but we have a lot of purge going on. A lot of purge. Hang on. I'm going to reset my camera. Sort of. Okay. Uh those spikes, you could take them as what your intuition tells you what they are. For me, it's uploads, downloads, uploads, downloads. It's information being channeled into you, upgrading your etherical DNA, giving you more strands, expanding you, but you're also purging out the red. is purge energy. And we had a lot of we're gonna have a lot of that because as one part of our population of humanity, that's just in America, but that affects other people in other countries as well. They're purging. Their disbelief. They're wanting to get out of America because, oh my God, the orange man's bad. You can't look at life at that extreme. I know people hold that belief. They hold those feelings inside of them. I know that today I had a lot of it's going to be okay. I dressed in black for them. And I said, it's going to be okay. Every day is the best day ever. Make it so. Oh, but your job. No, not my job. My job does not pay me enough. I am not respected in my field. I am not given what the necessity of educational tools that one could use to teach kids on the spectrum. I'm not given anything. Special ed, for the most part, is this you're over here, we have the rest of the population to teach, but you're over here. And that has to change because more and more children are autistic, more and more children have ADHD, more and more children have to be detoxed. More and more children have more extremes to the spectrum. Some are just high functioning and just need social skills. There's so many caveats to special ed. It blows my mind. And it's not normalized. It should be, but it's not. Normalized in the sense that this should be accepted. People need to be more compassionate. This is why these kids are incarnating like this or changing into this. Whatever your belief and view is, doesn't matter. Kid still has this, right? The empathy is not there. The understanding of how to take care is there, but not, because not all things even work for regular ed kids. There's so many kids with deficits and delays and learn different ways, and the structure of education has to break down. You have to teach to every individual child, and that's very difficult. Some kids are visual learners. Some kids need pictures. Even on cards, they don't comprehend what a lot of kids are not comprehending anything that they read because the content of what they're reading is bullshit. It's crap. Sorry, writers out there. Capture kids' interests in literature. Capture they don't need to define every aspect of grammar this is what these kids are being given. It's like what is a predicate? What's a pronoun? What's the adverb within the verb it confuses the kids' heads. They lose the sense of wanting to they're like breaking essays down in radical ways that make no sense. They're not comprehending what they read because they're not reading anything they enjoy. When you hold interest in something, I had this problem. I didn't like any of the things that the books in school, besides maybe 1984, Animal Farm, Fahrenheit 451, Lord of the Flies, stuff like that. That captured my interest. Shakespearean shit did not capture my interest. I hated it, and I had to do it in college. Didn't like it. Persnickety. Who cares? I don't use that word in my life. Yeah, it's great to know, and it's great if that's what your wheelhouse is, to know what it is. Kids nowadays, it's instantaneous gratification, and they need it now. And if you're not capturing their interest, they're out in outer space, not listening to you. We have to adapt to the kids. We also have to adapt to our moment in time, in the now moment. How are you doing that maturely, with empathy, with compassion, and unconditional love? It's holding space for the people that are mourning right now. It's holding space, the space they didn't hold for you because they could care less. That just shows they're not empathetic people, and you need to be a better role model to show them that, yeah, not here to, we're here to help you. Why we're here in the first place is to be a service to others. I can't really be a good service to another person if I'm judging them based on their political affiliation or their sexual orientation or what they identify as. It's harder for some communities of people who haven't lived outside of their town, never ventured or explored cities. I lived in New York City. I was exposed to everything, everything. And I love those people nonetheless. When you treat people with that respect, you're going to get it back. I'm very different, very, very different. Most of us are really actual black sheep, if you want to put a label to it. I am happy and encouraged that my Facebook feed this morning and even this afternoon was not fed with ah, in your face, in your face, in your face. But then I did see a bunch of people do that anyway because they couldn't help their ego. This is not how we unify. We have to be the adults. We have to be the elders in many aspects. We need to be the matured aspect that if we, most of us are angel, archangel, higher ended beings incarnate, living the human experience, you're a guide to all things and all beings. So if you are an angel incarnate and you're here to help, you're not judging other people and what they do. You're here to be a facet of help for them. This is where we need to drop the judgment, the affiliations of what we are. You can prefer to have voted the way I did yesterday, but that's just my personal belief and my personal system of doing. But I respect the other people's side because guess what? That's how they feel and that's what their heart alignment is. It's not going to be mine. Not every spiritual person is going to agree with me or how I view or perceive the world and reality of which I create. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. I had to pause. I had to sneeze. Gotta love it. Who wants to come up there? Hi, Odin. Come up. I have Odin cat down here. He's being a little mushy. Um, yeah, there's a lot, and there will be a lot in the next couple of weeks, maybe months, until January 20th, possibly. I brought this out the other day on Sacred Valley that we just got in a president-elect for the corporation. When will that facade drop? There's a lot of stuff that's been behind the scenes that pisses me off as even a spiritual person because of the alien agenda thing. I'm not saying that they don't exist. They're just us in different forms. And the fact of the matter is, um, we got to take a stance of and be very, 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 very disciplined in our knowing on what's coming forward, what's moving forward. A lot of people are talking about this big shift. For me, it's not. It's not a timeline shift. We just jumped into a timeline. It's not a shift. We didn't do CERN. CERN didn't project us in a failsafe, and then we're going to have another Mandela effect. To me, that's what a real shift is. We just jumped into a timeline. Now, here's sources test. My words are not popular. My channel is not popular. I don't need it to be to reach the right people because it's still the ego denying you your real truth. Let's discuss. And I'm not doing, I wanted to do a live on this, but I'm not. I'm holding that for Friday. See, get a little bit more of a couple of days. You know, we're only on Wednesday. So what? He became president. Now what? A lot of stuff has been done behind the scenes that now common AQ public person, right? Normie, you want to call them sheeple, whatever you want to call them, label them those other selves. They will either be slow walking the truth or not, just spewing it out. It who knows what's going to happen. But here's the problem. Why was they holding and withholding truth in the first place? If Trump wins the corporation, is he going to serve out the corporation or is he going to declare that it was already bankrupt and shit hit the fan in 2020? Filed in South Florida. So whatever happened to that bankruptcy? If he was really the president for the last 4 years, as many of us can possibly contend to think that way, or at least commander in chief, um, that would make a lot of people on either side angry for different reasons. We all know there was a cog put in place. We all know that there was a lot of things that and it's not Trump, it's the people that run Trump. Remember, the military asked him to run, right? We go back in the way back machine. The way back machine. It's not that far back, but it feels that way. There's a lot of things that I don't agree that should have been withheld from public. I believe that the military is in the big, big hellish wrong. I don't care that, oh, there's white hats, black hats. Okay, great. That's society. We live in polarity and duality. At what point are you stringing everybody along? And what kind of power over other people do you have to have? If Bashar was meaning the dissolving of the United States, if you vote for him, Well, as it stands in the corporational aspect, or if we're going back to the Republic, 1776 style. Are we going back to the Articles of Confederation? You can check out Jack Lander's channel, Jack Breaks Out on Rumble. He talks all about that stuff. He's a genius when it comes to that. Are we going back to that? Or are we just going to be strung along another 4 years of corporation bullshit? Oh, but Allison, the new election and the Sarah Jacera. Okay, I just want to put this out there. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, act as if it's not going to happen. I just saw that. It was over here. Um, I'm being serious. We can't hold him accountable for stuff that isn't out in JQ public. We can't. It's there documented somewhere, but just like 1984, anything could be written, rewritten, and scratched. Oops. Sinbad wasn't in that movie. Kazam, Shazam. Oops, that never happened. That never took place. Many of us remember it. Okay, but it's not, you know, Smokey the Bear. It, do you see where I'm going with this? There's a lot of stuff that has occurred that has been public, not fully public, not out there for the masses to hear, but a lot of us who dig and know have the awareness, watch Jason, have the awareness of like the fuckery of all fuckeries. Now, how does this come out and how is this going to play out and how does this affect the spiritual community? It does in big ways because we're going to be given technology. We're going to have the alien talk eventually, the Pleiadians first. My projection is the Pleiadians, and then maybe Lyrans, because they're close also ancestors. They're the ones who created us, their genomic code. The Draconians, once again, they're projected to be bad guys here, right? But if you go into neutrality and that you see there's no bad or good, it needs to exist because without one, you can't have the other here in this experiment. But in higher densities and higher dimensional spaces, like what we've been projected and told our whole lives and what we were like making to believe, just like the Bible, a lot of us know that a lot of it is not real and a lot of it is allegory and a lot of it happened. It's just a matter of perception. How many people are going through their ego deaths and really dropping the ego? You still need it to survive here. You still need it to get through your everyday. But how many people now are cashing in? It's too much that's going to be dropped. And where is this going to land? It can land in a few spaces. If more people go in and do the work on themselves to start remembering their other selves, to be in the awareness that they are source creator with all of us, that there's way more to this life than you could ever possibly imagine. Going and doing the work to clear the negative spaces within your shadow. You still need your shadow. Like the see you next Tuesday and within me needs to come out sometimes because I have boundaries I have to still put up. Right? We're still in 3D form. Okay, our consciousness might be 5, 6, 7, 8. Some of us. It's great. There's no popularity contest, right? It's what's going to be folding, unfolding, coming into this here and now moment that is going to dictate the calls. We need to remember we create our own reality. Collectively, all together, our unconscious, a collective unconscious, is what's projected out of us and out of our field to create material objects and things for us to experience. All is an illusion. We can't take things so seriously, but yet we do because we're in the experience. What a paradox. The next few weeks, we need to show as much compassion and stop with the attacking the other side. We got to be the mature adults in the room. We can't do the I told you so's because those truths haven't even come out yet. And I see the immaturity on some people spewing really bad, hateful things. We were kind of told about this in that movement. We were told that this is going to eventually come to a head and that we're going to be at the forefront of information. We're now here. And you got to do it in a mature way so you're helping that other side understand. They're not there yet. They're in that mourning phase right now. They're like shocked, they're crying, they're screaming. Those memes are running wild all over the place. It gets you a gratification of release when you're seeing people suffer. We got to stop doing that. I used to take enjoyment in that. Listen, I am not clean on any kind of slate when it comes to that stuff. Okay? Not at all. I used to enjoy the meme wars. I used to love all that aspects of shit. Now I'm not because I see the bigger picture. They're coming with, and we got to get along. And that's just our other selves on the other side expressing a different reality than we are. Okay, but there's still there are our other selves. We got to walk in compassion. We got to walk with grace. We got to walk with a heart that's opened enough to express it and give it to them and say, we're here. We would love to talk to you, clarify some things, and do it in a respectful manner. It's up to them what they want to do with that information. But throwing it at people in a disgusting way isn't going to win them over. It is not going to unify a country. It is not going to bring solace to humanity. You really want to know what the test is to ascend, you're in it now, and you've been in it. If you hold the love frequency in your heart, you're loving all things. You're loving the murderer. You're loving them because they know not. They haven't learned their lessons. In terms of their inner catalysts, they didn't go seek help, or maybe help was not given to them, and their state of trauma brought them to the state of where they are. That's where compassion really, really hits. They will be wherever they need to be. You're not the judge. No one can judge where this, when a soul leaves this paradigm, this density after physical death, no one should tell anybody where they're going to go or what they're going to experience because everybody individually experiences something different. That's straight from upstairs. I'm being channeled. everybody has a different experience. There's similarities on a lot of the experiences, but people who are on the negative path, who are ascending, they're still going to experience their own paradigm. And what are we to tell them what they're going to experience, or anybody else for that matter? Certain realities for certain people have to play out because that's the agreement they signed in on. I saw somebody in James Rink did a thing with Oksana earlier on Super Soldier Talk. Someone was talking about your soul contract is tied to the negative polarity and da da da. I'm not going to even spew that person's comment. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we all have soul contracts, but why does a faction of beings hold our contracts? It doesn't make sense. It makes sense on a smaller vibratory state of knowing right here. They haven't elevated above the fact that going beyond good and evil and seeing past the alien agenda that's being spewed out, and that's been deliberately going since who knows, since Roswell, that it's really been in your face. The aliens are coming. The Granada Treaty, Eisenhower. I mean, let's face it. Let's just face it. We have to save ourselves. We have to alchemize and transmute the energy, which is going to be purged tenfold in the next couple of months. The planets are transiting and doing some retrograde stuff from all the astrologers. I'm not, like I said, I'm not an astrologer. I don't know. I'm not into that stuff. I love that stuff, not an expert in it. Same with tarot. I say it all the time. I can read them, but I'm not good at it. My wheelhouse is oracle cards. And I can't touch pendulums because of all the activity around me. No matter how much I sage, uh, an entity that's here and that you see, okay, can influence my pendulum. Even though I'm talking to a higher aspected being, there are beings in the physicality of this overlaid density that can play with the pendulum. Why I don't do pendulums? I can do them. I used to do them. I do them for certain things, but not for readings. And predictions, it's just a potentiality of a possibility that could or could not happen depending on the conscious collective, unconscious collective in the here and now moment that it's being read. Same thing with your Akashic records. Someone can read your Akashic records and see into a potential future. Doesn't mean it's going to be that future. You write your reality. You shift your timeline. You make jumps and leaps quantumly. So what someone reads for you today in the moment will not necessarily transpire if you change something in your life to go in a different direction. Sometimes it's spot on and people hit those certain points because it was contracted. So if you're meant to be a podcaster, if you're meant to be doing something and it was in your contract to do it, someone in the Akash that reads Akash could tell you that that's going to happen because it's a catalyst for you. It's supposed to be there for you to learn. Where other things might not fold, that relationship, the animal, the vacation that people, oh, I want to go on vacation, right? I could see you in a tropical island. I've been told this numerous times. It might happen in 10 years. Who knows? It didn't happen yet. My other self could be enjoying that vacation. Remember, we're fractals. That's the fuckery at foot. But in all seriousness, The energies that are being projected out right now are going to be very harsh. A lot of attacks on light workers. The thought forms now being projected at one side from the left to the right. It's going to be a little crazy. So be on guard. Hold the space for yourself. Cleanse constantly. And you could do that in a whole number of ways. I took a mindfulness class. There was a doctor of psychology that works in the high school who put a class on mindfulness, and I'm sitting there like, she's validating everything I'm saying. I was like, she's like looking at me. I'm like, you're validating me. Thank you. She goes, huh? I'm like, the forest walking and hugging trees. I said, I moved here from New York because I needed nature. I'm like, there's nothing but cornfields and parks and trees and fresh air. I'm like, this is great. I'm like, I hug my trees and I talk to them and I align with them. I meditate with them. She goes, oh, yeah, you're really into this, aren't you? I'm like, yeah, it runs my life. So she's giving everybody the advice that I usually give everybody. It was great. I didn't read it in a book. Yeah, I have plenty behind me. It's just stuff I've always done. And yeah, it's in books. You could read about grounding and earthing. Nothing wrong with that stuff. I see you, Mr. Odin. He's on one of my drawers. You and your sister, you and your daughter, knock down candles. Yes, you knock down some candles. One of my boxes of gems. Gems are everywhere right now on my floor. I gotta clean that up. I'm not in the mood. Not after today. Um, they're just doing them. They're doing kitty cat things. They're keeping me safe. I couldn't ask for better cats. Yes, you're a good boy. Anywho, sorry. It's up to us to model the better behavior. It's up to us to be the mature ones. It's up to us to mature the level of dialogue that comes out of our mouths and how to express ourselves. I have to say, I'm very proud of my own self for not like putting out a post like, yeah, Trump won. Woo! Because I know too many people who are devastated. And I think now they have a better grasp at what happened to us in 2020. But I lived amongst my mother was a Democrat, my father was a Republican. That was an interesting dynamic in my household because I always shot down the middle because my father made sense where my mother made sense. And I'm like, well, how do you two oppose each other politically, be married? And they're like, well, politics doesn't run the world as it does in a certain aspect. But my father explained to me that he's like, yeah, I'm like financially conservative, but there's other things that I don't agree with the party on that are more of a Democratic mind. My mom said very similar words, and later on in their lives, they allowed television to really dictate to them what goes on. And my father was really opposed by the Bushes. He hated them, but he was a Republican, through and through. But he's like, not them. I don't agree with them. They're stupid. So I lived in a house where I had healthy political talk. My parents talked about it a lot. And I got to see the middle view. I got to be the observer, understanding both sides my whole life. Not my whole, well, up until 34 when my mom died, but when 22 years when both my parents were alive, I got to witness a lot of good conversation, and a lot of them weren't that healthy, but I got to see both sides and understand where a human being is coming from. Not because the television projects to me um their logic and perception, because it is scripted. Um, I got to see it and live it by my dad explaining to me, like, my dad was a math teacher, so he knew the numbers, and he's like, well, no, this doesn't add up. If they're going to do this in X, Y, and Z, this is what's going to, for me, I need conceptual. I can't do the math. He's like, this is what will affect us moving forward. He's like, if you do this, then maybe a year from now, you're going to see prices go up and your paycheck not going up. Oh, okay, Dad. Yeah, yeah. My mom was like, well, if they do this with healthcare, X, Y, and Z. But later on, before my mom passed away, she actually understood where I was coming from with the doctors, because I was always I lived in doctor's offices my whole life. I lived in the dentist for years, immunologists for years. And when I helped my mom lose a lot of weight, because my mom was very obese, she had a thyroid problem, she had some other issues, but she was never diagnosed in time to get her on the right regimen of things, whether it be holistic or not, doesn't matter. Okay. Sometimes medicine is needed, sometimes it's not. And for me, I I showed her firsthand, because of what I went through on the biologic medication. After going holistic, nothing really worked. And I gave it time. I gave it 2 years. And nothing was helping me. And I was so young at that point. I was only 21, 22 when things really took a shit for me. And at some point, I had to look at my options. There wasn't very many at that time. And I took the, IV drips and the self-injections and pills course. I was supposed to, just to show the side effects. What do you weigh things as? And as I kept getting swapped on different things, and my levels of the infusion would go up and no one knew why, my little tiny stature was taking a horse dose of medication. I said to my mom one day, I said, you see, they're selling you a whole bunch of shit. It's all about the money. Don't you understand it, Mom? And it wasn't until she got really sick and she saw what happened with my dad, but didn't see the full picture until she got sick. And that certain things were not covered, certain things were. The help she needed never came, and the diagnoses and the aid at the very end did not come. They didn't care. They were all about this. And she finally admitted it to me. And she's like, yeah, all those years I was thinking that way, I was wrong. They don't care about you. They care about their bottom dollar. And that's a part of society that we are going to start shifting, I hope. Um, the promising things that are going to come out of a corporation, if it doesn't switch into a republic, is the state of people's health. You're not going to just cold turkey a whole entire system that actually puts people to work. What I hope does happen is those products still will be made, but healthier. That people take the amount of effort to be able to afford healthier options. This is the bigger problem. I could see it in Indiana. Everything is fast food and candy here. Healthy snacks aren't necessarily healthy. I see what the kids bring in and I'm appalled at some of it. Like there's one family whose kid is definitely on the spectrum and very healthy food, healthy snacks. And then I have others who it's just junk, sugar, lots of food dyes. Even the foods given for lunch, it's a problem. It's a big problem. Um, these things have to change. Um, and you're not going to get rid of everything in overnight. And that is going to take a couple of years for things to transform. But it's up to us to put the energy out there for things to start making changes. We can't really do too much until January unless things start unfolding. That's up to the collective unconscious of humanity to want to have certain things start changing sooner than later. We all have a place right now energetically that we need to, and I'm going to go over more on this on Friday when I go live. We have to start thinking about where our roles and our places are in humanity and how we're going to affect the causes, how we are going to implement our energy in a healthy, respectful manner that's not going to eliminate people's livelihoods, but it's going to improve them. You can't shut down Kellogg's. There's so many people employed, but if they take out the crap and they start making good stuff, maybe we can go back to the 1940s, 50s, where things weren't so overly dramatized and poisoned. And again, you feed your food the energy, you feed your drinks the energy, you feed what you need, the positivity, the frequency out of your voice. You can hum it. Put it in your food. Thank the animal that sacrificed itself for your well-being. Do you ever think about that? You're still plucking an essence out of the ground too when you're eating all veggies and stuff. That's still essence. Think it. We need to do better. The energy that you promote each and every day in your outside world, that you are going out and doing and being amongst society, you have a big job to do. We are in our missions. Many of us have been walking in our missions for a while. Many of us are now just discovering our mission. Some of us still haven't gotten to that stage yet, and that's fine. Be a role model. Okay. Don't just follow the fanciful, oh, we're on a ship fad. It's a fad. If you align with that, that's great. But I see too many people spewing this stuff without going into their own awareness. We have to remember, I also have to do this myself. People are going to steer you or try to give you hope. I'm not here to give you hope. I'm not. And that's because I want you to have hope for your own self. I want you to see through my struggle the perseverance that one can have, the tolerance. Everybody's tolerance level is different. There's many instances that I wanted to give up so much. I still do at some points. There's some days that are really, really tough. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to talk to, where to go. What's my best interest? I don't know at this point. I'm like numbing out to the financial shit. It's not my strong suit. Never it was, never will be. I don't have my parents here to steer me in a, oh, maybe you should look into this and not that because this would affect you this way. I don't have level head. And not to say that other people wouldn't do that for me, but it's not like coming from your mom or your dad. My dad knew because he was like a math guy. He knew finances, even though my mother did it. Sorry, Dad. Crazy. And I mean, I love everybody, but people are like sending, once again, I'm working. When I'm at work, my phone isn't out. It only is out to check time and maybe put a timer on for the kids. But my phone is barely out and everybody's sending me some crazy Telegram stuff and like I don't it, stop. It's showing me that you're not doing the work on yourself. It's showing me you're still in a this or that should be for humanity. And this is a tough choice for a lot of people in the spiritual but political realm. A certain person is like, I'm for president, who's in the galactic Thothian thinking person, very influential, makes a lot of money, ego screaming. What does this do for us? It still shows that people are unwilling to open and expand to a smaller person's perspective. Even though we're all one, we all have different perspectives. We all have different objectives and different modes about going about life. It's beautiful. The sadness that comes from within me, it really does, is how people grasp onto no these top names. I'm not talking about Jason, by the way. Nothing to do with Jason. It's the bigger people. Even and this is what also shocks me to an amount. Um, JQ, I for the life of me, I know in a lot of aspects why he's never like climbed that big ladder. I'm glad he never did. Honestly, not because I want to see him succeed or become something. He already is something in my eyes. Um I know the rhetoric that I can't tolerate, but I still respect him. He's still my friend. And he's not wrong. It's just how it comes out of him that I love you, Jay, but you know, I can't listen to that anymore. That's not a part of my reality. But I'm not denying him his truth because it's true. It's what he's saying is true. It's true. I'm shocked he's never raised above a certain level. He's been very heavily suppressed. And he's sticking to his convictions. He's walking in his authenticity. I'm walking in my authenticity, and so are a couple of others. And this is like the hard thing to understand. We have to break through the barrier of money. I don't need a fanciful wish-washy spiritual. Woo! I mean, yeah, it would be nice if I had some graphics and some chimes and in the beginning of my videos. Don't think I wouldn't love that. I just can't afford that kind of graphic work. If I could figure it out on my own, great. But um eh, the studios and the podcast setups and it's a couple of $1,000 to get top of the line quality shit. Is it necessary? Myself, Jack, Jason, Strack, and so many others that are just grassroots kind of people just doing it to get the word out. Poppy, Tara, I mean Janine. There's a ton of people. I mean, Cosmic Mama, hi Erica. Love you, girl. We're all doing it grassroots from our heart spaces. You don't have to align with them at all. But these are the people that are, from my perspective, are being authentic and just walking their truth and doing them. There's no narrative behind it. There's nothing steering it. It's just from what is within their heart space to deliver to the people. It's their mission. They're walking in it. That's the beautiful aspect of just being a humbled human being. I always question why hasn't certain people raised to the ranks of respect? It's because people are respecting the wrong aspects of things. People are still idolatrizing. They're still looking for the one person with the one point of view and or the 5 million people with millions of followers that they buy off of a site. Where's the authenticity in all that? Where's the help to we the people? And we the people encompasses all sides. It doesn't encompass one side. That terminology is steered towards one side. What's interesting is someone in my school uh actually was in an election and I actually voted for them. And I didn't realize this and it dawned on me today, just thinking about it and seeing him in the building. He stopped me to ask me, he's like, "Oh, I saw you in front of your house. You have a lot of like patriotic flags in front." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm an American. I'm proud to be here. I chose to be here." I'm like, this stuff wouldn't fly in New York. I'm not allowed to put a flag in my front of my house. I'm not allowed to put veteran pride and I have half my friends are veterans. I've dated veterans. Thank you for your service. I was like, my house is patriotic year round. My flags don't come down. And he goes, "That's amazing. I like that." And then when I recognized, I just saw that just saw that. I'm gonna point them out, Scott. Um, that hit me today that he was. I didn't realize what party. I didn't ask. I didn't really know he was running for anything or an office or this town wise, locally. And I looked and I'm like, oh, that's a stereotype that needs to be dropped. Just because you're a Democrat or a Republican doesn't mean you can't put a flag in front of your house. And should that mean that you're one way or another? No, you're American. That we need to drop a lot of the stereotypes and we need to drop a lot of the hate for the other side. No matter what side you're on, we need to unify. And if there is a Republican coming, we really need to know now, what needs to happen in your town? What's going to better your state? What are non-negotiables for you? And if you need to find another locale, another state that will provide you with the needs that you want to express, it's time to like put up or shut up. If we're going back to doing everything from the states are going to dictate their laws. Well, find a better state that suits your personality and what your morals and ethics are. It doesn't need to be religious. You know, I'm in a very Catholic Christian wholesome town. I have not yet to see one Jewish synagogue, or there's a lot of also Muslim population a little further south. But everything is Bible based over here. But, you know, there's a lot of spiritual people here. I'm just finding out, and a lot of wholesome people, a lot of open people. We need to find those people, and we need to know where everybody stands if the republic is going to happen. I can't tell you, I don't know what I foresee. I'm not going to put out something there. It's just something to think about, something to ponder. Why I'm calling this a pondering. If this really is turning into a republic eventually, whether it be now in 2020, January 20th, Trump is like, yeah, United States, you're going back to the States. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. Vote. Maybe that's his turn to step down. Who knows? I don't read into the future because it hasn't been written yet. But the things we can see that we can think about is, what do you want to happen? And if your area is not promoting, where could you go? We still have to live under this crazy high interest. I mean, maybe things might drop slowly now. I hope so. Things are really tough for me. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. I'm supposed to have a big breakthrough in clarity at some point this month. But in the meantime, I'm freaking out internally. Like, I don't know. Never been in this position before. I felt like I was, but no. Um, what does one do? What can one do? I can't put a gun to someone's head and say, hire me. That doesn't work like that in the real world. Maybe back in the Western age, the cowboys, but not now. Can't do that. So what will it take? I don't know. We have to find our own worth within. And once you find that, you have to exude it to other people. I know my worth, and I can't, I have to sometimes you have to settle for less. Like with this job salary situation, I'm not on salary, I'm by hour. I'm not a happy camper about that because New York was paying me a lot more for doing the same job that requires a lot of physicality, and a lot of exhaustion comes from that. But you're getting paid. Can you live there? No, because holy crap, the expense. Like, you're not getting paid enough for that job, but that job would work out here if I got paid that amount. Like, people's line of work needs to be considered from the janitor all the way up. We have to be valued more as a society. Certain jobs are not valued. You go to a fast food restaurant, it's like for a teen to learn. But that job still should still be taken in seriousness because you're providing food. You could kill somebody if you're not careful. So all jobs should be respected. We should be able to do what we're gifted and talented in, but does that always make an ends meet? I'm starving artist. It's not a profession it's poo-pooed. It has been poo-pooed, you know. And I was at the time when Adobe Photoshop was in its first series. It was just coming out. So go figure, I'd have to go back to school to relearn how to do all the digital imagery and website forming and keep up on the ever evolving when my skills are drawing. I can improve my drawing, but it's not it's up to me and what I want to produce as artwork. Who knows? What I do know is we need to really start structuring how we want our lives to look, regardless of who's in office. We need to figure out how we want the new world to be shaped and formed because we're creating it now. A lot of us, I know myself, it was mentioned in Daniel Scranton, I think, possibly. I was loopy at that point because I was also receiving channeling. I'm trying to think, sorry. Um, a lot of us are, I know it is saying that I'm waking up at 3 a.m. I'm waking up at different times. Like I try to go to sleep early on the weekdays because I'm just shot and I wake up at 5 in the morning. Um, most days I don't have to. I can sleep in a little bit, but usually I like to get up early so that I have time to I don't have to rush out of the house. Like I can actually do shit before I leave. And I know I've been waking up a lot, like jumping into my body. So I know I'm not in my body. I know that. It's about what am I doing? And I know for many different readings that I've had that I'm creating fourth, fifth, and sixth density. Like working on the energetic entanglement that's creating the overlay. I'm not creating the world. We all have to come together to actually manifest it. But and most other people are creating the other overlaying densities. They exist. We're using the entanglement to get us there, if that makes sense. Using string theory. We're using our light bodies or our bodies when we're sleeping, we're being projected and we're doing different jobs. We're anchoring our other paradigm to us because at some point we're going to meet in the middle and it's going to the actual shift will happen. And we can't always do it just for 4. We're here already physically. We're doing it for 5, 6, 7. Most of us are bypassing, depending on your contract. I don't think too many people are going to hang out in 5 that for that long. Or you're not going to stay in 4 for that long. You might go to 5. You still have to be here until your contract runs out, but I could die tomorrow. I'm anchoring in the link for a whole bunch of humanity so that we're bridging it. We're going to meet it. It's already halfway here created. We just need to bring the overlay and now meet halfway. And we're going to do it. And I know that's what a lot of us are doing. A lot of us are also working on the light grid the other grids, the electromagnetic grid. There's a whole bunch of stuff that many of us who have different avenues of talents and abilities, you're working and we're tired. As much water as I drink during the day, I have to get my coffee going. I I need my caffeine. It's bad, and I need sometimes my little puffer to help. And no, it's not illegal stuff. Stop my pain. So the real question is, where are you feeding your energy? Where you're placing your energy? Where you're placing your intentions? When you're out and about, is your ego screaming out? Yay, Trump won. Yay. It is fine to feel that way. No one's taking that away from you, but are you doing it in front of people just to be an asshole? Are you doing it in front of people to make them feel bad? Okay, if I still lived in New York and I was still at my job, I didn't lose it, and I walked in like I did back then, 2016, it was a lot of people were devastated. I wasn't. I'm like, everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna treat this as it is. Just you got to live your everyday life. No one's gonna live it for you besides yourself. I walked into that room, into the PD that day, and it was bananas. Same thing now. I'm walking into a whole different state, a whole different paradigm. But if I were back in New York, I would be holding a lot of compassion and grace. Like I didn't do that the last time. That last time I was like scratching my head, like, okay, really, everybody? You think it's the end of the world? Why do you think that? If the other coin dropped the other way, there would have probably been a bigger uprising. There would have been a lot more instances of the other side. They're very ego based. And, the whole displacing of blame. It's gonna, my friend already like messaged me today, like from New York, like, yeah, everybody's like, this was stolen. And my friend's like, well, now how you know how it feels to be on their side because they feel the same way last time. And they all survived the mayhem, the inflation, the hell that they felt that they went through. Now you're going to taste what they went through. Are you going to be mature about it or are you going to be a big baby? That was from that, being reported from New York. You have to live your everyday life, regardless of who wins. That was my whole point of talking about neutrality for a while about the elections. You still have to live your everyday life. Things aren't going to be changed overnight, and it's going to be some time until it is changed. If we see the changes immediately, great. But I don't bank on that stuff. Each and every day brings you a whole new component of fun that you got to contend with. Each day a new challenge comes up and a new catalyst comes up for you to transmute. That work doesn't go away because this person became president. We just got to figure out for our own selves, how are we going to play a role now moving forward? If this is like the permission slip, as Bashar would say, the permission slip for you to start putting your action into motion and manifest something, why haven't you done it 5 months ago? Why does this give you the permission slip? But if this is your permission slip, I give you permission to start manifesting a better future for the humanity. I'm not waiting on Nasera Jasera. I'm not waiting on bricks. I'm not waiting on a site that tells me silver and gold are going up. I'm not waiting on any of that. I have to create in the moment, the now, because this is all we have is the now. The putting into process, okay, if they dissolve education as we see it, education, the school buildings are not going away. Education is not going away. It isn't. Please stop thinking that. These kids still need a place to go. They need a safe haven to go to. Yeah, there might be more kids in homeschool. That's up to that parent to choose that. But not all parents are good. Not all parents have the best interest for their kids. Not all parents are having intellect that can even help their kids on their homework. Not everybody's a talented teacher. Parents don't know all the subjects, or they might have a delineation of what truth is. A lot of textbooks are going to be taking years to rewrite. So in the meantime, chill the F out, calm down. Nothing's going out of practice. It's going to take a long time for things to start shifting. They're not going to shift overnight. State laws and standards might change. Things might shift eventually, but implementing new curriculum, implementing new ways of being is going to take time. Transitioning over to different technology and different energy systems, they're not going to just allow everybody to be fired and let AI take over the world. That is not happening. Stop projecting it if you think it is. We're on a slow roll into ascension. This isn't going to happen overnight. This is going to take probably another decade or a millennium. We're the forefront of this. We're in the beginning sub octave of 4. We have a long time to go before we hit that high octave. It's up to us to write it now. It's up to us to set up the future for the kids. It's always been that way. When it hasn't it been that way? Think about it. Really ponder that fact. We're always saying the next generation, we're screwing the next generation. My generation's been fucked. 80s kids, we're all in our turning 40, in our late 30s, early 40s. The 80s babies have it really fucking horrendous. And it gets worse from the 90s on. There's a lot of things that get undone. There's a lot of truth on a higher level that needs to be exposed. It's in the manner and the compassion and grace that is in the exposure itself that's going to help humanity shift. If there's other beings and if there's other things, it's going to come out eventually, maybe not. For us that are on the frequency of the knowing, we know already, we know the truth of our perception at the level of truth and the frequency we're at. That's different for everybody. Everybody's on a different frequency. Everybody carries a different frequency. Some people just don't want to know, and that's fine. I don't blame a lot of people. A lot of people don't even think the aliens are even real. That's fine. I'm cool with that. But you got to look at yourself and know what you are in all aspects. That's looking in the mirror and being accountable for yourself. You need to be accountable for not just what you see in the mirror. It's what your soul is. That could be a tough cookie to swallow. Very tough one. I like chocolate chip cookies. Very much so. But I can swallow my cookies because I know what I am. I know what my oversoul's encompassing. I don't know it all in totality, but I know a large chunk of it, and it's gorgeous. My light is extensive and infinite. I've seen it. I project into it. And eventually, more and more people are going to be able to do that. You have to have the will to power, and you have to have the maturity level to understand what you are. Like I said earlier in other videos, they're not going to tell me what archangel encompasses me. A bunch of them do. They work with me. I don't know which one I am, because that would infringe on my free will and that would make things difficult. My soul name, I might be a Rishi for all I know. I might be a Diane Cohan for all I know. In an aspect of me, not the totality of this soul, but in this human form, I got fractals that are larger in some order. If you took your pie chart of your soul and made a pie chart, you encompass so many damn things, and there is lower density beings that run through you as well. There is a person that has an aspect of Dolores Cannon in them right now. They're not expressing that aspect of Dolores because Dolores didn't want that. Her soul fractal needed to have an experience in a human form. That person is aware that there's a Dolores Cannon in them, right? A fractal, but they're not talking with as a her, they're talking as themselves. Right? People have claimed that they have aspects and memories of different lives, of course. The incarnation thing is true. You just got to know. And if you don't do the work, you won't know. And the work is going to shift and change and become a little easier because you won't have to work so hard for it. The energy and the frequency that a lot of us are bringing to the table that is raising the collective consciousness is going to be in aid to people who just don't even know where to start, and they are so wrapped up in their heads they can't figure it out. It's going to happen that it's going to be easier for them to get to that information because the vibration is going to be there in the ether for them to collect it. That's why a lot of us are so important in the here and now, is because we are the frequency givers. We just being in a place. Like a lot of people see the things going on behind me. That's because I'm holding a shit ton of frequency. When I go out into the world, people are affected whether they are conscious of it or not. And within that awareness, you're holding higher consciousness frequency that when someone walks into your field, the entanglement of information rubs off on somebody, and that person might later on that day have some fucking epiphany that blows their mind, and they don't know where it came from, but I bet it was from your field. This is how important we all are. There's so many aspects of you that have no idea how you impact other people. I get this a lot when I'm having a hard time and people write on Facebook Messenger and, email me that if it wasn't for some of the things that I say, they wouldn't be here. And that's heavy. But I could say the same thing about people that I listen to in the podcast and the ideas that I get. These people are validating and making me feel like I'm not crazy. And it's a beautiful feeling not to feel that way. It's not feeling alone in the world. It's one thing to be alone and in your hermit zone, because a lot of us do need our own personal space to just clear out energy from other people. Like I like to come home and sage and just be for a little bit because I'm with kids. Their energies are bonkers. Fucking batshit crazy bonkers. The energies that I get from these children. I love them. They're so cute. They put a smile on my face. I don't care if they're hitting me and biting me, and I know sometimes it wears on me, but at the end of the day, I love what I do. It's my passion. But I know I'm holding frequency for them. All of you are doing very similar things in your fields of wherever you are in your life. I know, for instance, our friend Buckshot, he's doing recovery stuff for other people. He's being a huge light to people in very big, dark spaces. That's his mission, and it's a beautiful one. And his frequency is affecting in a positive way those who are in the void of space. It's beautiful. There are people in all different facets of society, whether you sew, whether you make little tchotchkes, whether you're just being. You go to the library every day, you read a book, and you're just there. Your field of energy is influencing and affecting everybody around you, whether you are aware of it or not. You are not going to ask etherically in your celestial form for a fucking ID when people pass you by. You're not at the airport. You're not TSA. You're not asking for that stuff. You're in the mall. You're walking in stores. You're walking past people. You're not asking, oh, you can't come into my field. I need ID. You don't do that. You don't do that as a human being, right? Just like 9/11, the analogy I make, I wasn't asking people if you were Jewish, if you're a Muslim, if you're this, if you're that. Do you have a bra on because you're a man? If I'm seeing a human on the floor bleeding out, I'm going to help them. I don't care if they're married to a man. I don't care if they're married to the same sex. That stuff doesn't bother me, and it never will. It's God expressing itself. Having an experience through them, what am I to judge? I see God in all things. The all that is, whatever you want to label the all that is, the entanglement of photons and gluons. It's great. We label things as humans to give it context, to understand and comprehend it. You're not asking people when you're out in public, give me your ID before you can come 6 feet in front of me. 6 feet. Remember that one? There's a reason for that. You're just going and doing your daily business. Your frequency is affecting so many people. That's why the spiritual community is asking you to be on your highest and best when you're out, because you're affecting the consciousness of other people. You might not see it instantaneously. It might take a couple of days for somebody to have an aha moment, or you might say something in passing in a conversation someone picks up on, and they get a little bit of a, oh, light bulb. It makes them question. There's so much that our human brains are not aware of, but yet still exists. It's insane. And yet it happens constantly without our being aware of it. And when you come into the awareness that that's happening, you tend to change your mindset. You tend to be a little bit more compassionate because everybody's at a different phase and stage of their existence, of their conscious awareness. When this happens, but you're aware, you mature your thinking and your compassion grows a little bit wider and a little bit with more love. So you don't know where people are at. You don't know everybody's struggle and or everybody's story. Everybody has one. Everybody has trauma. Everybody has something. And when you can put that in a bigger, broader perspective, see it for what it is, you dissolve the hate. You dissolve the, well, maybe that's why that person's acting that way. Maybe I can have a little bit of compassion and show them some love or send them some love energy. Maybe I can send them some healing. We all signed up for this job, guys. Now we're just going to start navigating how to best walk the steps moving forward into the new world we want to create. This election is a permission slip for many people because they were not doing the work. They were bypassing it because of a plan or whatever their reasoning is. This helped a lot of people out. But I think it also, and in turn, people were obsessed with it. And like allegory in the Bible, a lot of things have been misinterpreted or taken into so many subsections of subsections, and which is fine because you need to know every little facet and nook and cranny of evil. I know many people need that. When you come into a truth of understanding neutrality, you finally become into the awareness of what truth actually is and what's actually needed to heal and what actually doesn't need to even be spoken. Take the permission slip. If this was your permission slip, this election was your permission slip to start doing the work, start. Please start. We need everyone on board, regardless of the side that you chose. There are light workers on all sides. It's not bound by one party and one affiliate and one movement. It's not, and it never will be. God's in all things. God's expressed in all different ways. We can't ignore that. And we're not going to, even the same people in the same community are not going to perceive the same things the same way. There's similarities. That's why a lot of people join together and band as brothers and sisters in a movement. But that's not the end all be all. If this gives you permission to go and do the work on yourself, because now, oh shit, the shift is happening. This is your time to reflect and do the work, do the shadow work. Sorry, guys. Hang on. In closing, I'm going to continue a lot on Friday. The pondering today was how to move forward. The pondering today is the collective consciousness, being more receptive to the other selves that are experiencing the morning and being mature about it. We were built and contracted to be the way showers. Let's be responsible in that task. that fall into the ego space of wanting to prove your truth. Even in the spiritual form, a lot of people are not there where many of us are. Going within means finding your true, authentic self, being you in your whole core, understanding your shadow, knowing that the CUNT lives in there, or the big D is there, doing you, boo. But being authentic and mature about that. Walking in the knowingness of who and what you are in a bigger sense. You don't need to know and recall every past life. You don't need to know every star seed being that you might compose. You don't need to know if you're an angel or not. Does it, in the grand scheme of things, matter? No, it doesn't, because you're here to have an experience, and that's the most important part. It's walking in the authentic compassion, unconditional love for others, having a purpose and serving your purpose, whether that's just to be and seed your frequency and love, or to teach and heal and give to others. We all consigned ourselves to be a service to others in the best ways possible, in different ways, different missions, and you might have multiple missions. I know I do. I serve the kids, I serve humanity, I serve all things. If you are using this election to have a permission slip, please use it. We need more people evolving and thinking higher consciousness. We need to unify. We need to know what and how to move forward. We can't do that where everybody's in scattered sections of the world in lower frequency consciousness. We need to come together. Use this as a permission slip to do the work. What I do on Fridays, when I'm doing lives, and I just started doing this not long ago, is I'm pulling cards to help shape where the consciousness, where the healing, where our direction needs to lead. It's a common theme every week that it's to push forward and to move forward. It doesn't matter who is leading a country or a particular populace. It's up to you to create your reality. And if you want to shift your timeline to something higher, shift. We're always continuously shifting. Like I said in the beginning, many of us didn't even think it was going to happen. Many of us thought that we're going to have to wait a month. Many of us thought a whole different plethora of outcomes. This outcome happened. Let's use it to the advantage of having a permission slip to start the work now, consciously, to improve yourselves. We want a better world. Let's do it now and not have to wait until January 20th. We want to do different. We have to do different, be different, and express it different. We're jumping and leaping into a very huge unknown. We don't know how this shift is actually going to happen. We don't know if there's a big deluge. We don't know if there is an event of a catastrophe or not. We can shift out of that. All I know is that what I am seeing, we need to start bettering ourselves in our responses. We need to be there to be the shoulder, literally, for people to lean on. We need to be the sound of reason and not the sound of I told you so here in your face, make you feel bad, guilt trip you. We don't need to be that. We're better people for that are not doing it. We don't need to prove something to anybody. What we need to do is have compassion and speak reason and logic on a spiritual sense on some of these people. You're gonna find people now coming in and gravitating towards you because you're changing your magnetic field for positive. You're going to attract more positivity. You are going to attract people that need a good model to base their unknowingness off of. You want to strive to be a better person. Another person's going to look up to you. A child is going to look up to you. I want to be like them. I want to be happy like them. How do I do that? How do I go about my spiritual evolution? It starts here and just doing better every day and projecting that out into your outer world, having the will to power to make the changes. You could sit idly by, and that's fine. That's a choice you can make. Or you could be the creator of your reality and bring other people with you, your other selves, and be a service to others. The train station is still loading on its passengers. The middle way is where everybody is hanging out, waiting for the train. The positive and the negative train are coming. And it's a very long while until that train stops again. It's going on a world tour. What train are you going on? You got to choose wisely. You got to choose what your soul wants. And I would hope that more people now start choosing the mature path, the one that leads to big changes that might be very difficult and a lot of suffering might come out of it. But as we suffer, the greater lessons will be learned. The karma gets null and void, and we can move up. But that comes with suffering, and that's a harder path to traverse, but it's one that is worth it. There's no easy path, by the way. Never has been. Seems easy, but there's no easy way moving forward. A lot of things will slowly have to phase in and out of existence. A lot of things might be transitioned, and we all have to prepare for those things mentally. If you think the world is going to stop, everything's going to stop because your ego wants it to because you want money, think again. Can it happen? Not saying it won't. I don't see it. I was told by many people that I will have to work the rest of my life. But by choice, because I want to. But I'm not in any position. I don't have a retirement. I don't have a fail-safe. I'm just me. No one's coming in on a white horse saving my ass. I have to save myself. No amount of currency or another thing is going to come in and save my life. It might help, but it's not going to change my paradigm in any way. That's just being really honest. And I hope that many of you start seeing that reality for what it is. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, it's not going to change my day. Because I'm going out and putting the energy out to have my day every day better. And I hope that most of you are doing the same. This is a time to mature up, have more compassion than you usually would for the other side. Know that you were there a few years ago if you took one side over the other. and know that all will be fine. It's just your matter of perception. And we have to be compassionate right now for the people that are mourning. And just be aware of what you put online. We want to do better. We have to show better. And if we want to be role models, we have to act like it. And make sure you know where you're placing your energy and how you're moving that energy. This is one of the most important times in humanity's sake. So let's take it as something serious to consider while doing it in a fun and playful manner. See it in a fresh child's eye perspective. And let's move forward with grace, compassion, and empathy for all things. It's the only way we're going to move forward in my aspect, in my perspective. So, guys, sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within. Be the physical shoulders I know I have been today, and I will be for the next few weeks. Be the lighthouse. Seed your truths. Seed it in a mature manner, please. And make sure that you're being responsible and respectful when putting things out online when it comes to politics or iffy subjects. Those are your other selves experiencing what you experienced 4 years ago. Have compassion, be the bigger person, and let's unify so that we can increase the time frame for this expected shift. Like I said, we're already always shifting. Humanity needs to shift. And it's determined by us how fast or how slow that goes. It might not be in my lifetime, and I'm okay with that. But I know many of you are stuck in that spiritual paradigm where it's going to happen any day now. It's going to happen within a year, 5 years, and it's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. It already is happening. You're just looking for something that's not in physicality just yet. So until we can all come together, all of us, we're just at the beginning stages. So take things with a grain of salt, live your everyday life accordingly, be the responsible human being that you can be. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Sorry, I try to avoid coughing. I might be doing an Awaspe reading tomorrow. I have to find a chapter. I have to find another chapter I haven't read yet. That may take me a while. And one that I'm not gonna butcher. Yay. And Friday Night Live. I don't know what time yet. Um, now that I made a little picture of me as Beth Dutton, I will circulate that around. If you hit the notification bell when I go live, you'll get an update somewhere on your YouTube that I posted. If you want to come and hang out and chill out, come and hang out. It's just a chill time. I talk a lot. I bullshit with some people in the chat because I love my peeps. I have amazing people that enter the chat, very insightful, very spiritual, very political. I have a whole plethora of amazing people that come and join me. And thank you to everybody. My gratitude to everybody who watches and supports my work. You guys rock. And you're the reason why I'm motivated to do videos every day. Just about. Unless I am like super hived and itchy and super, super, super sick, or just pass out and don't wake up. Um, until the next morning. That has happened a few times. I'm usually consistent with my videos, so thank you again, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye for now.